Hi Gemini, this is your April 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading for the month ahead. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel, really appreciate you. Okay, we're going to open up for you with the energy of the Ace of Cups. I think this month for you is definitely about focus and flow. Now, it's a wild ride, but there is a tremendous amount of healing that is activated through the month ahead. There's passion, but there's also this sense of a grounded transformation underway. And you have this new energy pouring in for you with the Ace of Cups. You're not here for half life, Gemini. And what you need to remember is it's never going to work or resolve itself or bring you balance or peace if it's not meant for you. So where there are aspects of your life that just feel like they are not fitting together, there are much bigger questions that you're going to be asking yourself. And there's a wildness and a braveness, and it can feel actually deeply healing as you come to a place of admission with yourself, true acknowledgement about what isn't working or what you're now realizing you've outgrown or what has to change. Okay, not to say it's easy, but it definitely brings about some sense of relief and release for you. Now, on the 3rd, we've got Venus conjunct with the North Node, and it's bringing in some kind of fated situation and energy. You're processing it, and on the 4th and the 6th, we have really harmonious days coming in astrologically, okay? In fact, the whole first week, we then see your ruling planet Mercury stationing direct in Pisces. So that gives a little bit of respite as well, and a lot of what has been understood and reflected upon, and perhaps March was a bit tumultuous in terms of what it was stirring up, has brought you to this place with the Ace of Cups where you're really ready to give back to the self, and you feel more nurtured and nourished and able and capable actually of leaning into what you need to. It's time to release habits that are impeding your progress. Are you ready? You're going to find that the answer coming from within your soul is a profound yes. Now, as we build to the full moon in Libra on the 12th, we also see Venus stationing direct, and it's almost like a second chance, right, to revisit a lot of what was initiated before both Venus and Mercury took their backspin. We also have a healing energy coming to light with the Chiron Cazimi at that full moon. So remember, this is your 5th house, another ace coming through here. So there could be themes being activated around some sort of creative project, particularly around romance, around children. And this is the moment where you get to have those honest conversations, okay? And I hear you saying the words of like, it stops here, it stops with me. So maybe there's even some ancestral or family patterns that you're incredibly aware of, and that particularly through that Venus retrograde have been highlighted in a very powerful way for you. In order for you to find a way through what is presenting itself as a challenge in your life right now, the thing that you need to come to terms with is that, there is this bigger fear you need to face, okay? You're shedding a skin, and remember, like, you're working through both 11th and 12th house energy. In 11th house, your hopes and dreams are being revisited, but there's also themes around how your interaction with groups, with friendships, and also the use of technology, how all of these things are sort of underpinning where you're at and how you move forward, okay? And then as you come into 12th house energy of Taurus season later in the month, there's this realizing that you need to shed the skin, that there's profound closure that is underway for you, okay? But listen to me when I say you're going to feel very clear, and it's going to open up a whole new dialogue with yourself and others when I see that Ace of Swords. Look how much you're cutting through the cloud. So what felt insurmountable, what felt confusing, what felt like a struggle, all of a sudden has the capacity to be able to show a different aspect of itself in terms of the energy, okay? It's messy, because I think there's an ongoing friction that you're kind of having to deal with, but at the same time, it's also quite magnificent. And I want you to remember how far you've come, because you are also becoming everything that you need to be in this moment, okay? Keep that in mind. So let it unfold. Oh my goodness, another ace, Gemini. Wow. This is powerful, okay? This is the new chapter. Maybe something that you've been waiting for, okay? This is about the focus and the flow, you see, because remember, with ace energy, we have to get really clear on what the intention is and direct it in a way that we can harness it, because it's potential right now, okay? It's full of potential. Now, there's already a flow state underway from a destined perspective. You don't want to be the only thing that's kind of stopping that happening, okay? So you also have to take your cues of how the energy is opening up. And if things are feeling blocked or heavy, you turn to a different aspect of what is feeling lighter or shifting and moving. And, you know, that isn't to say that, you know, you have to give up on something that you really want or that's really important to you. It's just about sort of allowing the season and the cycle and the phase and the way that the energy wants to transport and direct you happen in its divine time, rather than you trying to force or coerce or manipulate situations, events, and experiences. Now, all of this energy is also super important if you've had, you know, through your Venus Mercury retrograde and eclipse season, you know, some shifting foundations in terms of relationships or other things in your life that felt super stable. And perhaps there were bigger questions about, you know, well, what now? And I think what you're starting to see, particularly with the healing energy that illuminates around that full moon, okay, so bear in mind that, you know, you're getting quite clear, you're saying to yourself it stops here, but you're also sort of admitting something, and that admission is also the way through, okay? Now, on the 14th, we've got Juno, asteroid goddess, going retrograde in Scorpio in your 6th house. There's always a little bit of jealousy or envy or, you know, something that gets stirred up around that. Remember, Juno is negotiating partnerships, commitments, marriages. So, you know, you're continuing this backspin to review and reflect things, okay? On the 15th, Mercury goes back into Aries. That's going to feel more comfortable to you than its energy in Pisces, because that fire sort of ignites something and helps bring a kind of passion. And there's so much fire energy that also brings around this fate in April that's hard to ignore. Now, on the same day, we also do have Saturn conjunct the North Node, and this is a really strong karmic check-in point. So it's quite a leveler. Like, you'll see very clearly if you've been sort of following the right path, or if there's a situation that's not meant to be, it sort of almost gets disrupted or dissolved in some way. But on the upside, with the silver lining that's coming through with these aces, it can also be a strong indicator that you're on the right track and help you to feel positive about the work that's still to do, right? Because you know you're at the beginning of a process with all these aces, but just actually have the courage and the confidence to forge ahead. We then have Mars coming out of Cancer and shifting into Leo. And again, this fire energy seems like it supports you. Now, we've got the Shah of Cups, the King of Cups here. That waterfall of white light is very clearing, very protective, very soothing, but he's also kind of slightly obscured behind the waterfall. So there's something about sort of stepping back, or, you know, maybe realizing that someone else who had a more prominent role is now kind of stepping to the side. Or, you know, I just have that sense of, you know, this is not you, the King of Cups, but they're here and they're relaxed in their energy, but, you know, they are just sort of slightly removed. There's some kind of barrier in between you both, but it's not problematic. It just feels like an emotional clearance is underway. So there's maybe something very specific that you have to continue to work on yourself, or that they're working on in themselves, but there's a spiritual maturity and an advancement in a situation with a key relationship in your world. It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic, although the Ace of Cups might indicate that it is. However, it could just be somebody that you've been working with, a co-worker, a friend. Remember, this 11th house with friendships and communities is also in play right now. But what we're seeing alongside the Ace of Cups is that there's a deep love, respect, and sort of mutual understanding in regards to a particular situation through the course of April as well. And I think you also need that. I think you're very clear in the month of April what it is that you do need. And you're not afraid to be able to communicate and be quite open and honest about that. And if that's a little time, a little space, a little more support, a little opportunity to go and explore something different, whatever it is, I think as long as you're able to just kind of clearly express that, and your Ace of Swords tells me that you will, you know, your ability to be transparent and upfront and very direct is important, okay? Like I said, there are new dialogues that are opening up. Now listen, it is a year and it is a month where it's like make it or break it. And in a way, you know, that doesn't have to be problematic. You know, we're all being split open and it's part of a destined reset. And honestly, you become deeply liberated through the self-awareness that arises as a result of that, okay? You get closer to yourself. You merge this spiritual and physical union. Your conversation with your higher self is clearer than it's ever been, which means you know what the right next step for you is. Now, how does that translate into your external world? Incredibly powerfully, Gemini. And that's what April's about, this shifting tide, this passion, this movement, but this real feeling of go energy. It's time to take the steps forward. And you're able to then bring people with you. You're able to sort of, make that call or be able to communicate and say why this is necessary, why this has to happen, why this is underway. And, you're understood. I really feel like that. The communication that comes across with Mercury now being direct and in this fire energy makes your story very compelling in how you present it. Now you've got your Two of Cups, so again, this loving energy. It feels like perhaps relationship that has struggled or gone through some sort of turmoil can be back on track, or there's opportunity for new situations to emerge in a way that also feels more authentic and aligned for the you that you are becoming. Remember what I said, you're becoming everything that you need to be for this next chapter and stage in your life. And don't underestimate the importance of that. You might struggle to see it because it may be that you're still clouded or that you're standing in front of some mountain that feels almost like insurmountable. But hear me, the challenges that you face, okay, in April, you're also given a clear route through or over. So sometimes we get a map that says, actually, we can walk right through the center of this mountain. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, actually, let's just walk around it. It might take a little bit longer, but it's doable. And at other times, we have to kind of dig deep and find a little bit of resiliency and say, okay, we're going to have to scale this mountain, but there's a tried and tested path and we've got what it takes. We have the strength and we've got the vision, we've got the focus, and we know why we're doing it. And so in all circumstances, whatever is going on for you, keep that understanding, that metaphor in your mind. Whatever the challenge is, there's going to be a clear solution that's also provided to you. You may not like it. It might not be, necessarily something that sits well with you straight away. But through the course of the month, I think you're going to come into a place of understanding that actually this is worth it. Now, we've got our Daughter of Swords, our Page of Swords. This is what I'm talking about with the new dialogues that are opening. Now, as we come into Taurus energy with your 12th house, I want to just call out on the 20th, Mars is opposing Pluto. It's quite a clashing, volatile energy. You might see that in the collective, but it will also perhaps bring in something that feels a little more personal by way of an experience. It can be somewhat of a crisis point, perhaps internally or with another. But even though it's slightly combative, we see the two birds kind of vying, to sort of have, the platform to speak. You're the one holding the sword, and again, you're cutting through the veil of confusion. You're getting to the source, to the heart, to the root, and you're talking about what's important. And that really matters because it stops a situation from just like spiraling or continuing in the same old pattern or mental loop. or kind of veering off in the wrong direction. So I feel because of all those aces, and at the beginning of the month, the supportive energy that's telling you this is how you need to direct this, when it comes to later in April and you may come up against some sort of challenge or clash, you're able to sort of bring it back online in a way that's really supportive and powerful. Now, that might mean that there's a big release for you, something that you've got to get shot of, that you've got to acknowledge or to compromise on, because that 12th house says we can't carry this with us. There's some baggage here that needs to go. And if you've been clinging on to something, that's not serving. Now, remember what I said, it's not ever going to work or resolve or bring balance or peace if it's not something that's meant for you. So you might have a little bit of a stark wake-up call with regards to some aspect of what you're trying to do or what's on your mind or your pathway at the moment, that's going to go through a bit of a revolutionary process at the same time as you come into that rebirth energy to prepare for your solar returns. But what you need to hear, and as you build to the new moon in Taurus, is that the clarity and the grounded transformation that happens at that point replaces it with what you know is better, or in terms of like your highest destiny and good, the right thing. So there's not a sense of loss here, and you really need to understand that, okay? Because the way that the universe is now working with you, and that King of Cups really tells me that this sort of maturity that you have and the understanding that you've got in terms of your own spiritual journey at the moment is clearer than it's ever been. Like, April's a powerful month, an important, potent time, and it's one where you can really feel like you're kind of gaining ground and you're more in your body than you've been. You're more aware. Yeah, it's like the first part of the year has sort of had you like up and down, and it's just felt like a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Now, April has still got that wildness, but the healing energy that's been activated and the rebalancing that's taking place that at first you couldn't see, and now all of a sudden the seeds are like revealing and blossoming. You know, this is a big one, right? So April marks the beginning of something quite spectacular. That's why I'm saying it's still a little messy, but it's also very magnificent. Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards we are going to look at in your extended reading. I talk for another like 25 minutes or so. We're going to look at a personal question and a relationship card for you as well. I hope you'll join me. We'll go deeper into this month. It's a way to support the channel so I can keep showing up for the free readings. I'm going to go ahead and clarify these cards. So let's see what we've got in terms of the direction we're taking this. Our Ace of Cups brings through the Four of Cups and also the energy of the Hierophant. Ace of Swords brings in the Six of Pentacles and the Six of Wands. Okay, the Star, Queen of Cups. You know, there's a positive outcome, particularly where something from a material perspective in your world has felt uncertain. There's a lot more certainty that comes back around in April. It doesn't have all the answers, but it's like enough of the jigsaw has come together that you start to see clearly, okay, this is where we're going. Right, Five of Pentacles, Hangman. I want to pull one more on that. Two of Wands, yeah. Okay, Daughter of Swords. What do we have? Five of Cups, Lovers, Four of Pentacles. Now, please check out romywiser.com if you're after a personal reading with me, or if you want to check out my sacred titles. You can work with my oracle deck, my journal, my book. You know, these are all creative spiritual tools to support you right now in your journey. And you know, you'll also find all of the other products I've created, my membership. So romywiser.com, the link is below. And you'll also find all the decks listed that I always use in the readings too. So let's have a look at my deck, Life Soul Vision Oracle. What do we have? We've got Blossoming Soul Song. We've got Crown Energy. We've got Energy Conversations, Sacral Energy. We have the Queen of Water and also the Queen of Fire. I like that coming through for you. Okay, let's pull a couple more oracles for Gemini for the month of April. What do we have here? consequences, okay, as a constellation, Ursa Minor. And then finally, we're also going to pull an animal spirit card for you for the month of April. We've got the energy of the raccoon. Okay, Gemini, thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll join me on the extended. Link is below. Have a great month of April. It's powerful. Keep your focus, but be in your flow state. I am going to see you again next time. Bye for now.